Hi guys, the next few problems on the quiz have to do with discrete probability distributions, which is what this we think is right here. Basically, there's two columns. One's for x, that's like your variable x, and then there's a probability column. So, but the way you look at this is the probability that x is 0 is 0.3, the probability that x is 1 is 0.4, the probability that x is 2 is 0.2. So I don't know what x is, it's some kind of an experiment. But first thing we want to know, is this a valid discrete probability distribution? There's just two conditions that have to be met. The first condition is all the P of x's, all the probabilities have to be between 0 and 1 inclusive. So you just look at each one of these numbers. I think these are all in between 0 and 1 inclusive, means including 0 and 1. So yeah, 0.3 is 0.4, but yeah, I think we're good there. You can't have any negatives, you can't have anything over 1. So that's good, right? How the next requirement is the P of x's have to add up to 1 exactly. Do they add up to 1 exactly? We got to figure that out. Does 0.3 plus 0.4 plus 0.2 plus 0.1 plus 0? I think if you take your calculators out, guys, you'll say it does add up to 1. So is this a valid probability distribution? Yes, it is. So that's some of the questions on the quiz. Then I might ask you some other ones, like what if I asked you to find probability that x is less than 2? Okay, how do we do that? Well, let's see, 0, 1, 2. Here's the probability of 2. They want probability that x is less than 2, so it doesn't include 2, right? So what you have to do is add up all the probabilities that are less than 2. So you have to add up the probability for the 0 plus the probability for the 1, so you get 0.7. If I had said probability that x is less than or equal to 2, it includes the 2 probability, right? So that would be 0.2 plus 0.4 plus 0.3, so that would be 0.9. Right, so you got to watch your signs there. How about if I gave you probability x is greater than 1? Okay, probability x is greater than 1. So it doesn't include 0, doesn't include the 1. It's greater than 1, right? So that would be 0.2 plus 0.1 plus 0.0. So I think that's 0.3. Okay, so that's how you do those kinds of problems. These are all in the notes, you guys. This is all in the notes. But to find the mean of the probability distribution, remember that crazy looking U? It's also equivalent to expected value. That's another term for it. So what do you expect x to be if you did this experiment over and over and over again? What would be the average x value that you would get? That's basically what it means. And there's a formula, and it's equal to the sum of x times p of x. So remember that crazy looking E is sum of, and P of x is the probability, x is the x value, and P of x is the probability. So what you have to do is go into each one of these and add up x times P of x. So I'm going to erase because I think maybe I'm getting cut off at the bottom, you guys. So I'm going to erase up here, okay, and do that for you. So mu is equal to the sum of x times P of x. So that's equal to, so you take each x and multiply it by the probability next to it. But you got to do it for all 5 of them. So next one will be 1 times 0.4, then 2 times 0.2, plus 3 times 0.1, plus 4 times 0.0. So you got to take your calculator out. Well, these two are 0, so you're going 0.4 plus 0.4 plus 0.3. What does that give you? I think that gives you 1.1. Okay, so what that means is if you did this over and over and over again, your average x would be around 1.1. Okay, so I think there's one like that on the quiz too. I think there is one that asks you for the mean of this probability distribution. So all you do is you take each x, multiply it by the probability, add them up. Okay, I think the last question on the quiz is probably a simple one, but they give you P and they ask you what Q is. So P is just a probability of success value. So say like your probability of doing good on this quiz is 20%. That's not good. If that was the case, P would be 0.2, sorry. Right? 20% corresponds to 0.2 as a decimal. Q is the probability of failure. So if you have a 20% chance of doing good, what's your probability of doing bad? Isn't it 80%? So Q is basically just 1 minus P. All right. So for the quiz, you would just have to do Q is equal to 1 minus whatever the P value is I give you, and that would be your Q. Okay, so I think I did enough to give you a good go on the quiz, which is quiz 4. So give it a shot, guys. All right, see ya.